afternoon, friends. I did another grocery budget challenge. In this video, I had a total budget of $25 to make 5 nights of dinners for my family of 3, which includes 2 adults and 1 toddler, and that averages out to $5 per dinner. To cook the meals, I only used ingredients that I purchased with that $25, with the exception of butter or oil for cooking and common pantry staples that I already had on hand, and most people would as well. Now I'm going to show you how I shopped for the foods that I used in this challenge. I have my $25 ready, and I'm at Meijer because they have an amazing Memorial Day sale on ground beef. The sale price is $1.99 per pound. The regular price is $4.99 per pound, so you can see that is some great savings. This package is $6.07 for a little over 3 pounds. I won't be doing my challenge meals until next week, so I'm going to go ahead and freeze this meat. I'm back home with this ground beef, and now I'm going to divide it up into some freezer bags and stick it in the freezer. I have all of my ground beef packaged up to stick in the freezer, and I have a few ideas of some meals that I can make with this next week. I have $18.93 to purchase the rest of the ingredients, and I'm here at Walmart to shop for them. The first thing that I'm going to pick up today is this 8-ounce container of sour cream priced at $1.16. Next, I'm going to pick up this 8-ounce block of Colby and Monterey Jack cheese priced at $1.86. I'm working my way from the back to the front of the store, and in the middle, I pick up this 16-ounce bag of egg noodles priced at $1.43. I've now spent $10.52 of my total budget. Next, I'm grabbing this can of beef broth priced at just 50 cents. Next, I'm going to grab this 10-pack of flour tortillas, and with that, I've spent half of my total budget. Next, I'm going to grab a 2-pound bag of pinto beans priced at $1.84. I considered buying the 1-pound bag for $1, but I didn't think it would be enough food for the week. Since I have it in my budget to buy the bigger bag, I'm going to go with that just to be safe. Next stop is the produce section, and the first thing that I'm picking up here is this 3-pack of romaine hearts priced at $2.98. I'm also grabbing an 8-ounce package of white mushrooms priced at $1.88. I wanted to grab the packaged vegetables first before the ones that need to be weighed, like these onions. Because with the bulk produce, I can always find a smaller one to fit into my budget. These onions are $1.12 per pound, and I have a small one, so it's only 60 cents. I planned on grabbing a potato as the side for one of my meals, but these plantains are only 58 cents, so I'm going to get this instead. I haven't had plantains in a long time, and it's something different to pick up. I also think fried plantains will go great with one of my meals. Corn is in season and they are only 33 cents each, so I'm going to pick up 3 of them and they will total 99 cents. I want to get some beefsteak tomatoes. They're pretty expensive at $1.98 per pound, so I'm only going to grab 1. This one is just over half of a pound, so it's $1.01. I have $2.62 of my budget left, so I'm going to splurge on an avocado. They're priced at $1.28 each. I'm also going to grab a lime. They're priced at 58 cents each. I really want more tomatoes, but I only have 76 cents left in my budget, so I'm going to grab some of these Roma tomatoes. They're only 98 cents per pound. I weighed 3 of them and they're only 62 cents. That makes my total between what I've spent at both stores $24.86. This is everything that I'm picking up at Walmart. I'm happy that I was able to get so much produce. My total at the register is $18.79, which means that overall, I'm 14 cents under budget. I'm back home, and this is everything that I picked up at Walmart today, and also the meat that I picked up at Meijer last week. I got all of this for under $25. If you look at my receipts, I spent $24.86 total, so I'm 14 cents under budget. I also scanned my Walmart receipt into Swagbucks and got back 10 cents. I got back 2 cents for any receipt, 2 cents for any corn, 2 cents for any onion, 2 cents for any avocado, and 2 cents for any lime. Right now, I'm going to put all of this stuff away, except for 1 package of meat, which I will defrost for dinner tonight. Tonight I'm making beef stroganoff. Typically I would use steak, but I'm gonna use some of that ground beef, and I think it will still turn out well. I'm gonna serve it with a small salad on the side. The pantry ingredients that I'm using today are garlic, salt and pepper, parsley, and a little bit of flour, as well as butter to cook my ground beef and vegetables in. The first thing that I'm gonna do is cut up the onion and mushrooms and get my pasta boiling. I have my water for the pasta on the stove set on high heat and my mushrooms and onions prepped and ready. I'm melting 2 tablespoons of butter, and now I'm gonna add the ground beef. I started to break up the ground beef. Now I'm gonna add salt and pepper, being very generous with the pepper, and then continue to break up the ground beef. Now that the beef is brown, I'm gonna remove it from heat and set it aside and start cooking the vegetables. Now I'm gonna add the other 2 tablespoons of butter to the pan. Once that melts, I'll add in the onions. I'm gonna let these onions cook for a few minutes before adding in the mushrooms. You can see that the onions have really cooked down a lot. I'm gonna add in 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. I added the pasta to the boiling water. I'm gonna wait for it to return to a boil and then boil it for 7 minutes. I'm adding my flour to the beef broth and I'm gonna whisk it together. Now I'm gonna add this mixture to my pan and let it cook down for about 5 minutes. This has been simmering for a little while, and now I'm gonna add in half a cup of the sour cream. I added the beef back in as well, and now I'm gonna salt and pepper it. And here's dinner night 1, beef stroganoff. I put a little bit of dried parsley on the top just to jazz it up. I don't know if it'll give it much flavor. And then we have our side salads. I'm just gonna use the Olive Garden dressing we have on hand, and my husband will probably use this Caesar dressing. Now I'm gonna sort all of these pinto beans and soak them overnight. Here are the reject beans that I found in that bag. I put the beans in this bowl and covered them with water to soak. It's the next morning and the beans have soaked up a lot of the water. I'm gonna rinse them out and then add them to the crock pot. I added the beans to the crock pot and covered them with water, and I'm gonna show you a few different options of how you can season them. I know a lot of you all love using these cubes. For a pot this size, I would probably use 2. A great option would be to use bacon fat. This is my bacon fat container, and I would probably use 2 tablespoons for a pot this size. The option that I'm going to choose is to use this country ham, which I actually do not think this is country ham. I think that this is fatback, and you can ask for it in the meat department of your local grocery store, and sometimes they have packages of it near the ham and the pork. I'm gonna stick this big chunk of it down in the middle, salt it, and then set it on low to cook throughout the day. It's dinner time. The beans have been cooking on low for several hours, and now they're ready. I'm boiling a couple of ears of corn to go along with tonight's dinner. And this is dinner for night 2, soup beans along with corn on the cob and tomato slices. My husband doesn't like to eat corn on the cob, so I cut it off for him and gave some of that to our daughter as well. This tomato was good, but I'm really looking forward to the tomatoes that I'm gonna get from my mom's garden this summer. You happy, Mike? Was that good? Yummy. I still have tons of beans left, so I'm gonna put some in the fridge to use with tomorrow's dinner and then freeze the rest of it. I'm putting this bowl in the fridge and freezing those 2 bags. For dinner on night 3, I'm making tacos along with simple refried beans that I'll make with the leftover beans from yesterday and twice fried plantains. Of these ingredients, I'm only going to be using about half of the lettuce, half of the tomato, a fourth to a half of the lime, and some of the sour cream, cheese, and tortillas because I need to use those ingredients for other meals this week. The pantry staples that I'm using today are minced garlic, homemade taco seasoning, and I'll leave a link in my description box below to the recipe for this, cumin, oregano, oil, and salt. The first thing that I did was cut the plantain into 1-inch pieces. I'm letting some oil heat up on the stove on medium. While that's heating up, I'm gonna make this mixture. I have about a half a cup of water in here. I'm adding in the juice of a fourth of that lime, a fourth of a teaspoon of garlic, or actually that was a half, and half a teaspoon of salt. I added the plantains to the oil and I'm gonna cook them for 4 minutes on each side. I flipped them over. The oil has gotten pretty hot, so I reduced the heat and I'm only gonna do 2 minutes on this side. I took them out of the oil and put them on this paper towel. Now I'm gonna move them over and take this princess cup and smash each one. And then I'm going to take it and put it in this water mixture that we made. Leave it in there for a few seconds. Take it out and then pat it dry with a paper towel. And I will repeat that process for each one of them. I'm gonna set these aside while I make the refried beans. The first thing that I'm doing is heating up some oil in this pan over medium heat. The oil is heated up, so I'm adding in the garlic. I'm adding in 1.5 tablespoons or 1.5 teaspoons of minced garlic. Next, I'm adding in all of the beans. I'm also adding in 1/4 cup of water. I just added in 3/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. Now I'm adding in 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. Since I salted the beans yesterday, I'm just adding a little bit of salt on top. I have them at a good consistency, so I'm gonna set them aside and start browning the ground beef. I'm just cooking the ground beef the way that you typically would when making tacos. I brown the ground beef and then I added in a mixture of water and taco seasoning. Now that the ground beef is done, I'm gonna set it aside and then heat up the oil again for the fried plantains. I set the oil to medium-high heat, and once it heated up, I added back in the plantains. I'm just cooking them for a minute before removing them from heat. Immediately after taking them out of the pan, I salt them. When I was in high school, I became very close friends with a Colombian exchange student, and I used to visit her for 3 weeks every summer when I was in college. I used to have these pretty often on those visits, and they taste just like I remember them. So here's the completed dinner for night 3. These large tacos with the ground beef, lettuce, tomatoes, and cheese. Forgot to add the sour cream, along with refried beans and the twice fried plantains. Tonight I'm going to be making nachos. I'm going to cook those tortillas in my air fryer to make tortilla chips. I'll be cooking the beef in the same way that I did yesterday with my homemade taco seasoning. I'm just going to reheat those beans and I'm going to use that avocado to make some guacamole. To make the guacamole, I'm just using these ingredients, just the avocado, 1/2 of the lime, salt, and I'm going to add a couple of scoops of the sour cream. When the avocado is ripe, it comes out of its shell really easily. Just going to use a fork to mash this up. Now I'm going to juice this lime and add it in. This is how much juice it produced. I'm going to add all of that in. The lime juice gives it flavor and prevents it from turning brown. I like creamy guacamole, so I'm gonna add in a big scoop of sour cream. I'm just gonna salt it to taste. I have 6 tortillas left. I'm gonna cut them into small triangles and then spray them with some olive oil cooking spray. I actually have been reusing this bottle for a while because I love the spray top. Then I'm gonna sprinkle some salt on them and put them on this tray before I stick them in the air fryer. It's gonna take a little while to cook them because I need to cook them on a single layer. I'm gonna cook it at 350 degrees in my air fryer for 3 minutes and then flip them around and see how much longer I need to do on the other side. Probably about the same. They turned out nice and crispy. You can also bake them in the oven, but I like them in the air fryer. Here's my completed dinner for night 4. I just melted the cheese on top of the tortilla chips in the microwave for a few seconds and then added the ground beef, pinto beans, and the other toppings. I love nachos and these turned out great, and I had plenty of chips left over for tomorrow night. For tonight's dinner, I'm going to be making taco salad, so it will be an easy dinner. I'm going to be using that last package of ground beef, cooking it the same way that I have the previous 2 nights using the homemade taco seasoning. I'm also going to be cooking that ear of corn and grating the cheese, cutting up the lettuce and tomato, and I'll be ready to go. Along with heating up those beans and adding a little bit of those tortilla chips to the top to give it some crunch. So this is my last dinner on night 5, taco salad. I love taco salad. So after I made the ground beef and the corn, I put them both in the fridge to cool down for a little bit before I added them to the salad. And for the pinto beans, I did heat them up in the microwave for about 15 seconds just so that they weren't completely cold. I'm going to take this lime and squeeze a little bit over mine and my husband's, and then it will be ready to eat. At the end of every challenge, I always show you what I have left of the food that I purchased. And for this challenge, the only things that I have left are a small hunk of cheese and this bag of frozen beans. Now, I definitely could make another meal out of those beans, but I would probably want to add something to it. So that was my 5 nights of $5 dinners challenge. I know I always say it, but I did enjoy all of the meals that I made this week. My husband said that the beef stroganoff was like a much better version of Hamburger Helper, and I've never had Hamburger Helper, so I'm gonna have to trust his opinion on that. I will say that the recipe calls for adding Worcestershire sauce, and I didn't have any on hand. I've since purchased some, and I would recommend adding this because I feel like it was missing something. My favorite meal of the week was the taco salad though. As always, I have all of the recipes linked in my description box below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thank you for watching. Check out my Instagram and TikTok. They are both at Amy Way to Save.